there are only four kinds of people in this world. Leftists, rightists, reasonable rightists slash leftists, and just people. Not patriots, not anti-nationals, intellectuals, just minding their own business, average Joes. Now, this fourth kind, this last kind, does not want to pick sides. It wants to use its own brain, something of a rarity in our world today. But with the moral landscape of the country shrinking fast, courtesy, people to the far left and far right, not wanting a middle ground to exist, is staying on the fence even possible? No, not really. At least not for the keyboard warrior slash YouTuber me. So what does someone like me, who does not want to pick sides, but finds it hard to mind his own business, think of the whole intellectuals versus saffron debate? Let me tell you through 4 or 5 points. 1. Left versus right has no winners. It is a war that nobody needs. These people come under different labels: leftists, pseudo intellects, liberals, human rights champions. The left wing in India is different from the right wing in ways that must make you think that India is two separate nations. The hyper kinetic right wing finds it extremely hard to keep its freak in check. Infested with misogynists, racists, xenophobics, bigots, it believes that even losing a cricket match is anti-national. And then you have the much classier academia dominating and erudite left-wingers, which is basically the ignorant lot. The one that wants to take on the world by marching onto India Gate every now and then, but has barely managed to come out of the cocoon, the shell it has found its comfort in. Yeah, sure, they do fight for intellectualism, decriminalization of gays, and environmentalism, but I doubt if India's liberals can claim bragging rights over any of it. Now that we have moved past the obvious surface level facts or rhetoric, let's get to the heart of the matter. Now, right wing, in my view, still has some hope. This hope received a major jolt over the last 3-4 months. The whole justice for SSR thing, but I still think there is a light at the end of the tunnel. For starters, there are reasonable right wingers. People who view world from lenses that are not clouded by hate and prejudice. They don't live to hate Muslims or kill humans to protect animals. Now, how are they different from liberals, at least the folks who call themselves fondly liberals, is that they don't scream human rights every time a civilian trying to protect a terrorist in Kashmir gets killed. They don't scream BJP intolerance if, like every other day in independent India, a person from a religion gets killed by crazed out goons who are deluded by religion. I mean, sure, yeah, these reasonable folks are outnumbered by a much delusional, misled, proud for the wrong reasons lot. But all is not lost with this lot either. Albeit an improbable task, misbeliefs and delusions of right wingers can be neutralized. I sincerely believe in that. The right kind of education, counseling sessions, training to view Muslims, for example, as real people and not freaks can be a good start. And also constructive words, constructively inspiring words from popular leaders like our very own PM Modi, who has an army of bhakts, can make a world of difference. I mean, yeah, it does sound dangerous that an individual can influence opinions and actions of probably millions of people, but that's a problem for another day. For now, Narendra Modi needs to step up and make sure that he can pass on a piece of seemingly secular mental makeup to his league of followers. I'm assuming that he himself is secular, And there, I may be wrong, I may be right, I do not know anything for a fact. Yeah, it sounds fantasy, it sounds preposterous that to imagine that counseling or education can change an enraged bent of mind, but it's a start. It sounds like words coming out of a 12-year-old, but at least let's make an effort on a really large scale. A change won't take effect in our lifetimes, but in some lifetimes. Now, this is about the right wing bigots. What do you do with the left though? With those liberals, people who fondly call themselves liberals. How do you educate someone who is scholarly, articulate, cocky, dismissive, and manipulative? The influencers from our left wing possess all these qualities and then some. The educated class in India looks up to them, but it's not the arrogance that offends you. It's their sheer disdain for logic and facts. An average manipulator, for example, if I steer clear of the journalists or politicians, if I can call someone from Bollywood, name someone from Bollywood like Anurag Kashyap, Vishal Dadlani, Kangana Ranaut, though she is from the right, but she does what she does. These average manipulators or big manipulators could make efforts to put the weight of logic behind their otherwise hollow propagandist rhetoric and actions, but they won't. The army deployed in Srinagar for our intellectuals is a disposable resource. A soldier's ultimate destiny is to be a martyr, so die he must. But if that soldier on a given day kills a terrorist or uses a terrorist aid civilian as a shield to protect lives of dozen other soldiers, it commands national outrage. So what if he's shooting in your general direction? He hasn't put a bullet in your head, right? When bullets are flying in your general direction, what you got to do is come out of your hiding and negotiate with the guy, with the terrorist trying to kill you. Ask him to surrender because that works so well. Then there is Hindi phobia. I understand you cannot force a language on anybody, on individual or a community or anything, but I really don't think that has happened yet. Yes, the fact remains that nearly 45% of India's population speaks Hindi. The next most spoken language is Bengali at mere 8%. You're not a fascist government if you are taking initiatives to promote Hindi over English. Though I find it extremely stupid and unnecessary that you keep on that you're on the spree of changing the names of streets, monuments. What you're doing, you're just inviting trouble because there is no need. A ruler, good or bad, named these streets, these monuments or whatever, these statues 300, 400 years ago. Let them be, because you're making people upset. A statue is not more important. A Muslim name or name, a non-Hindu name of a statue is not nearly as big a problem as people of a certain religion, people of a certain ideology upset with you because they are from the same country as you. So let's get over it now. And yeah, the intolerance, the award Vapsi, by old fossils who nobody remembers. The Vemula suicide, the Kejriwals, the fascism, the Bhaktism. No, here is the thing. You express how dangerous India has become to live since 2014, and you have just earned yourself the title of intellectual. And being critical of Islamic terrorism is no more Islamophobic than being critical of Hindu terrorism is Hinduphobic. Or maybe there is no phobia here. Both things are real. Let's just accept this fact and move on. But let's also not pretend that Hindu extremism or Islamic extremism does not exist. Like women are respected by people of both the religions. They have all the freedom in the world. There are no terrorist attacks. Terrorism has no religion. Let's get over these delusions. because that's where the problem lies. And if a terrorist attack kills people, let's not indulge in whataboutery. Sexism is real. Discrimination against women, viewing them in a certain way, discriminating against them at workplace, in real life, at your home, is a real thing. It still exists in 2020 very much, but you cannot fix it. You cannot make random men wear cross for it when they are not at fault. Reverse sexism is not the answer, is not the way to fight sexism against women. So when you have someone like Barkha Dutt who would pick a Kangana Ranaut and take her to every platform starting with NDTV and glorify her and give her the opportunity to ridicule men based on unfounded allegations, twist words of men to suit their own narrative. A man objects to period blood being mixed in his food purposely, and you accuse him of, you label him as a man who thinks that women on periods are impure. That does not serve gender equality. And then in the same breath, you say you find it ridiculous that women on periods should be given any privilege just because you feel very comfortable or comfortable enough in your periods. Every woman in this world must feel the same way. That is your feminism. And Arnab Goswami, who can forget him, who uses a 34-year-old suicide to serve his own agenda, to get TRP, to somehow link nationalism with it. If you are again, if you think law should take its own course, if you mildly trust authorities to do their work, you are anti-national, you are against justice, you are a lover of nepotism. He goes on randomly accusing the likes of Karan Johar of abetting this suicide, of being directly responsible for the suicide with no sense of responsibility, and his face is plastered all over the news. Riya Chakrabarti is accused of murder because I don't know what, she is accused of having an affair with Mahesh Bhatt because a WhatsApp chat leaked where they were discussing the probable breakup, where Mahesh Bhatt was being just an agony aunt for Riya Chakrabarti. And not to mention the 100 other xenophobic things, or you call them religion phobic or whatever, but Arnab Goswami is what he is. And even though there is an agenda, it's a revenge arrest from a political party, they are just settling their personal scores. But I still think whatever happened, for whatever reason, it is good. It is good for our country. Maybe more people like Arnab Goswami would think at least twice before putting themselves on this course to trying to grab TRPs, doing irresponsible things. But why just Arnab Goswami? Why just all the right wing intellectuals who have used the suicide to build their own narrative? What about the intellectuals, these liberals who are almost happy that coronavirus happened? You can almost see through those tweets the extreme happiness, the giddiness that they derive, the pleasure that they derive out of coronavirus, and the impact that it's leaving on the economy of our country. They would present these umbrella opinions of them, how Modi government is responsible. They won't really take into account that Delhi seems to be the corona capital of India, and Maharashtra as well, and none of these places are ruled by BJP government. It's in center, but the CMs are not from BJP, they are from AAP, they are from some other parties. But let's ignore that because we understand that it's in nobody's control, but we have to use it. We have to leverage this as a tool, as a propaganda tool, because why not? And so many of them. Nidhi Razan, who conducted a whole debate on NDTV after Zaira Wasim quit her career over religion. The focus was not on the 17-year-old thinking that she is mature enough, has the emotional complexity to feel that she could just give up on her career for religion. And maybe, there's a history in Kashmir. Pragash, the girl band who quit because they were threatened by some religious groups, that women are not artists, women don't go on stage and perform for men or women. Without taking that in context, Nidhi Razan conducted a whole debate around the reactions of people to Zaira Wasim. How, if she was not a Muslim, or if she was a Hindu who said that मैं अपने संस्कार के लिए अपने करियर छोड़ रही हूँ, people would have been cool with it. People are not only reacting with displeasure because she's a Muslim girl. That was the whole point of the debate. But then I don't really take Nidhi Razan seriously. I take Barkha or Swara Bhaskar or some journalists seriously. Nidhi Razan does not have that level of intellect. I read her tweets and they betray common sense. They betray the basic intelligence that a 30, 35 or 40-year-old should have. So who are you? Scholarly intellectual or a nationalist bhakt? अरे यार कौन हूँ मैं? Okay, let me help you out. Do you often say out loud that you hate Hindus, or Hindu extremism is the root of all problems in India? Swag, you are an intellectual. Or did you just use good and Modi in the same sentence? You're a bhakt. You need education. But then again, do you really need to pick sides? Shut your own brains and just follow an intellectual? Do you really need to be part of this mudslinging, self-glorifying herd? Well, guess what? Odds are that you already are. Subscribe to Legend Martini for your daily dose of lifestyle, movies, fashion, career, health and wellness, and everything else under the sun. Don't forget to hit the bell icon.